Welcome back to Building and Breaking, where we talk about how brands are built, trust is broken, and what salon owners, hairstylists, and professional beauty brands can learn. I'm your host, Nina Kovner, and today we are diving into a brand, one that was requested. This was a request, so thank you for the request. It was actually not on my list, but we are diving into a brand that absolutely stirs up a lot of feelings in the salon industry, and that brand is Madison Reed. Here's the truth. We're going to be talking a lot about this through the episode. Madison Reed is not stealing your clients. What they are doing quite brilliantly at the moment is speaking directly to their client. And when you understand who you serve and what they value, going all the way back to brand story fundamentals, you don't need to compete. It's not a competition because every brand has a story that's designed specifically for the people they serve. Every brand has builds their own lane. And so much of the differentiation of your brand that you create is not about a product. It's not about a service. It's about an experience and connecting that experience to those who see value. And that value aligns with the price of the experience. This is something that I have talked about and will continue to talk about because, again, this is a brand fundamental but one that is not only misunderstood with salon owners and hairstylists, but even when I look at professional beauty brands and the type of education that's being provided, I know that it's always like product led and you know, yes, product needs education. I get that. Certain products need more education than others. But one of the greatest ways to help salons is to help them understand their brand and who they serve with these services, whether it's color services or home care products. I talked about this actually in the Olaplex episode when I was talking about scalp therapy and leading with actual service experience versus products. So if you want to go back and listen to that episode, or of course, you can ask me anything. Here's the deal with Madison Reed. It is a brand I have watched, absolutely have watched. And most recently, as I was analyzing what happened with consumers through the pandemic, looking at if there were any significant, and the word here, the key word here is significant, any significant market shift. And by that, I mean what percentage of US consumers are salon, what I call salon going consumers, and what percentage are not salon going consumers. Because as long as I have been in brand strategy and marketing, and now we're talking about decades, especially in my old job when I was responsible for marketing, and we had hair color brands and we had, home care, hair brand, whatever. When I was looking at market analysis, I was looking not at the salon industry. I did look not much at the salon industry, actually, but I always looked at the broader industry. And what I learned a very long time ago was there were and still are a percentage of consumers who will never go to a salon. So when I say salon going consumer, I mean what market is there for actual salons, and then what market is there for actual people that go to the grocery store. Now a lot's changed since then, and by that, distribution's changed significantly, right? We've talked about this in a few episodes. Professional brands, quote unquote, I will put quotes around professional because what professional brands used to be are not what they are today. And yes, there's a few, but we're not doing absolute black and white thinking here. We're seeking nuance and context here in these episodes. And so professional is, not really a thing anymore because they're selling not exclusively to salons. It used to be exclusively to salons, and now that's literally not a thing because we have e-commerce, we have direct to consumer that a lot of quote unquote professional brands are doing, and we also have outlets like Sephora and then like Ulta, which I remember the days when Ulta built a salon just so they could stock professional products. So again, context context matters so much as we're having these discussions. But I want you to really think about as we talk through this, there is a percentage, in some cases, up to 50% of consumers in the US that will never go to a salon. Then there's, the other half that will. And then there's kind of that in between where like sometimes you can get a non-salon going consumer to like see value in going to a salon. It may be a one-off thing. They may go once and love it and stay, but at the same time, you're having salon going consumers that are like, you know what? This doesn't fit for me anymore. I don't see the value for money. My life's changed. My budget's changed. My whatever. Okay. So we always have to remember that when we're having these discussions because context is everything. So let's talk about Madison Reed. They identified something early on is some people just want simplicity and convenience. And salons, you can that message applies to you too. Some people simply want simplicity and convenience. Not everyone wants an 8-hour color transformation or even a luxury color experience. Some people just want great coverage. They want fast, they want clean, they want consistent, they want predictable. They don't want to pay $300. Now, that doesn't mean they don't value you, hairstylist, as a human being. Remember, charge your worth is so fucking out of context because it's not about you. Your brand is about who you serve. It's not about you. So it's not charge your worth, it's charge your brand's worth. Very different. But Madison Reed gets it. They built a brand designed for that person, whether it's their at home kits or their color bars or, having a simple, focused, clear service menu. The entire brand is designed around simplicity and consistency. Remember, consistency builds trust. Consistency builds trust. And simplicity is one of the most powerful ways to create consistency because and I've talked about this on many episodes, we as humans tend to complicate things. And okay, fine, whatever. But when it comes to your brand, when it comes to a business, when it comes to marketing, communications, training, all of those things, less is actually more. And when I look at and have for a very long time, these completely confusing service experience menus or brands, beauty brands, I'm talking to you, an absurd amount of SKUs, you see ultimately something's going to give, right? Something's going to give. So simplicity helps with consistency, and consistency builds trust. We've talked about this in several of the episodes. Dry Bar, we talked about it. In and Out, we talked about it. Even, with Trader Joe's. So some people, we got to look at this overall market, this humongous market of consumers. Some people just want simplicity and consistency. And where Madison Reed is, where they did, and now with the color bars are doing even more, they found the gap between the box color consumer and the balayage consumer, right? The more sophisticated, complex salon experience, service experience that takes 4 hours and costs $400 or whatever, and then the person spending $7 at the grocery store to get their whatever, quote unquote, box color. So it's pretty brilliant. Shout out to them for that. It's going to be interesting to see, particularly with the color bar, their color bars. I hope they're able to take care of their team and not grow so fast that they end up like Dry Bar, which is, inconsistent now. And we talked about that in the Dry Bar episode. Okay. So understanding that market, and again, that's going to be the theme in this episode, is understanding your market. And your market's not everybody. Your market is not even if you're a hairdresser or salon owner, your market isn't even every salon going consumer. I mean, that's absurd, right? And if you're a professional beauty brand, your market isn't every colorist. So now, the other thing, as I was preparing for this episode, I learned something. Not surprised, but I think it's an important point, which is why I'm bringing it into this episode. I talk often about brand story being the foundation, because it literally is the foundation of every decision you make. Every decision, marketing, leadership, culture, benefits, hiring, firing, training. Literally everything is based on your brand story, content, everything. And when I looked at the Madison Reed Color Bar website, I looked at their membership program. So if you've been a client of mine, if you've been in A school, I've talked about memberships forever, forever. And it's not for everyone. Again, we're not doing absolute black and white thinking here, but there are some salons that could really benefit from a membership model. Anywho, so of course they have one, because of course they do, because it makes sense for them, because their audience is basically root touch-ups, right? Root touch-ups, all over color refreshes, that type of thing. But it's based on their brand story, right? So a decision to create this type of membership fits beautifully with their brand story and business model. So, it's an unlimited routes, only services, birthday gifts, and whatever, whatever. And one thing I really loved is in this Limitless Pro membership, if you can't make it into the salon that month, you can take a box of color home. Now, I know this is going to get people probably mad at me. I have to be okay with that, because this is the truth. These are the facts and fundamentals that I have practiced my entire career, that I've built a few multi-million dollar brands with. So, okay. So let's just take a breath. We're going to get into that a little bit more. But what I love about this alignment of this membership program with brand story is that it's built for people who find comfort in consistency, want price transparency, value flexibility, and again, simplicity. They understand their brand. They understand their brand, and they built this business model to meet them exactly where they are. Again, your brand story isn't about you, it's about who you serve. And it doesn't matter if you're a personal brand, business brand, service brand, or product brand. Your brand is about who you serve, it's not about you. I'll say that again. Your brand is about who you serve, it's not about you. Which I think takes some pressure off, but I know that it's sometimes difficult to kind of change that perspective. It's kind of like public speaking. I think I've shared this in a few episodes. When we take the attention off ourselves and put it towards the audience, we can get more grounded, feel less anxious, and really serve the audience. So that's kind of like this universal truth. So, okay, so now we're going to talk about market position. And I've talked about market position several times, price pyramid. I think we talked about it. Oh, we did just talk about it in the ELF episode. And if you're a client of mine, you know all this, because market position has a lot to do with pricing, and pricing is driven by brand story and market position, and of course, business model. But when we talk about the price pyramid in the context of service pricing and or product pricing, we've got the top of the pyramid in the context of this discussion on Madison Reed. The top of the pyramid for color would be a salon color service, right? It's maybe $500, $800, $1,200. It's highly technical, personalized, customized. It's a luxury experience. Okay. And at the bottom of the pyramid, we've got like the DIY super cheap box color that you could get at a drugstore. Okay. So that could be like a $7 box of color, a $10 box of color, something like that. And then you have the middle of the pyramid. So at the top of the pyramid, we've got high price, low volume. At the bottom, low price, high volume, right? You could do Range Rover at the top and a Kia Soul at the bottom. We've again talked about this. Madison Reed just went straight into the middle, the middle, which is a really good market space. The at-home kits are $25 to $35 ish, and the in-salon color bar services are, I believe it's $90 if you have a membership, and I think it's like 100 and I think I saw it was 120, 130 for a service if you're not a member. But again, if we look at this audience, they are so crystal clear on who they serve. If we look at this audience, this is a high frequency of visit customer, right? They're coming in, they want to come in every 4 to 6 weeks to get a root touch up. So they are, again, they're priced strategically based on their brand story, their business objectives, their market position, their business model. That's what drives pricing, not like what somebody says on TikTok. And that has caused a lot of problems. And I'm going to talk about that. So Madison Reed doesn't try to be a luxury salon because they're literally not a luxury salon. Now, some people could say they create an affordable, quote unquote, luxury experience. I don't know. I haven't been in the salon. I don't know. They look good. I mean, I've seen them, but I don't know. Um, and they're not speaking to clients who want those, highly customized, highly personalized, high level, you know, color. They're not. They are seeking the middle. And yes, they probably are taking some of those, I'm sure, those quote unquote drugstore box at home box color people in, maybe. And then they could also be taking some salon people. I I venture they are. We're going to talk about that too. So again, focused, predictable, clear. And the mistake that I see made so often is that everyone is like competing for the same customer, and you're not. Literally, you're not. You're literally not. The problem they're solving is the people that are fed up with DIY or not doing it great at home and not having accessibility to a salon or not seeing value in a salon service. Whether it's pricing, not wanting to stay for 3 hours, not being comfortable, inconsistencies, whatever. They have built a brand based on what a client needs, what they want, and that's where they meet them. So whether that's gray coverage clients, busy professionals, people that prioritize efficiency, consistency, whatever. Again, that is an audience. Every brand has an audience. The clearer you are on your brand story, the more clear you are on everything you design, from your service menu to your pricing to, again, everything, hiring, firing, marketing, culture, leadership, everything is based on brand story. Everything is based on brand story. So, so again, looking at the problem Madison Reed is solving, how they're solving it, who they're solving it for, and the products and services, the solutions that they create, took me back to a moment in time that I know most of us really don't want to remember, but I think we need to talk about it because in the context of this episode, I think it's really important. During the pandemic, I know, sorry. During the pandemic, some salons really went all in on building trust. It was so hard. But then others really kind of went all in on breaking it. Let me explain. Again, your brand is about who you serve. It's not about you. And focusing on your customer, your client's needs. Because when you do that, you build trust. And during the pandemic, some salons created at-home color kits for their clients. And I'm not talking about like reactive, dangerous chemical cocktails that can explode and all that. Again, we're not doing absolute black and white thinking in this podcast. I'm talking about the safe, semi permanent options that help clients feel good, stay consistent with their color, and remain connected to their stylist. And what do you think happened? They stayed. Now, other salons shame them for it, hairstylist salons. Shamed people for doing that. Now, I've talked about client shaming for as long as I've had Passion Squared because your content is your marketing. And if your brand it has like this shame aesthetic, then shaming works. If it doesn't, yeah, no. But if we look at lifetime client value, the amount of happiness, joy, referrals, and revenue that client brings you over the lifetime of the relationship, or if you're a pro beauty brand, same. The amount of happiness, joy, referrals, and revenue that customer brings you over the lifetime of your relationship, then we have to look back and say, you know what? That was actually brilliant. That was actually brilliant. Many of our clients were doing virtual consults and walking their clients through how to like trim their bangs or, whatever. Those are the things that build trust. Those are the things that build trust because our brands are about who we serve. And here's the thing Madison Reed, of course, took advantage of that. They understood that and they saw incredible growth over the pandemic. And it wasn't just because they had obviously access and convenience, but they addressed a real need. Clients who wanted to look and feel good when salons were closed. There's so much in that. So when we stay focused on our client and what they need, we adapt, we shift, and we grow. Mm, I'm looking forward to the hate mail. Just kidding. Uh, okay. So now, this next kind of point really connects back to what we're just talking about with what happened with the pandemic. And again, it goes back to understanding your brand story, which includes your brand people who you serve and what they value, and staying focused on them and their needs, not what people are talking about on TikTok. This rage clickbait stuff. The latest one, I mean, there's so many each day, but the latest one that I thought was really relevant to this episode is if you're on TikTok, then you likely came across this on your FYP. OPI launched a at-home gel nail kit, whatever. And of course, we saw people like, oh my God, oh my God, and all these hot takes and all this hysteria. But like Madison Reed, OPI is solving a different problem for a different audience. Again, that's not your audience. If there is a consumer that will sees no value in a gel nail experience, it, stay focused. Stay focused. Madison Reed is focused. OPI is focused. Stay focused. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. I trust me. I just was sharing last night on the socials. I have a hard time focusing too. I mean, I get it. I get it. But that's why when we have clarity of our brand story, we stay focused on who we serve and what they value. And we align every decision with that. So if you're building a high touch, high transformation salon experience, you don't need to give Madison Reed 2 seconds of your oxygen or attention. Different client. People value different things for different reasons at different times. That $500 salon client doesn't care about a root retouch and a free birthday gift. It's just a completely different audience. And I think where some of the I don't think I know where some of the distraction comes from, and this is distraction whether you're a salon owner, hairstylist, beauty brand, whatever, is these viral moments are we're losing perspective. We're losing perspective because remember, the algorithm is designed to enrage, right? And engage. The algorithm is different for, we all have a different algorithm, right? So the more we engage, the more, especially like TikTok, our FYP can change on a dime. They are so brilliant. But for several years now, we've seen these $1,000 color correction. This transformation took me 9 hours. And look, I get it. It could be inspirational, aspirational, and it definitely can get clicks and engagement. But what it's also doing is pulling you away from what your client values. They value consistency, they value care. I'm going to guess they value simplicity. Now, of course, simplicity looks different for everyone. They value the experience, and that is your differentiation. That is your differentiation. Because at the end of the day, most clients and customers want to feel seen and heard. They want to feel confident. They want to feel beautiful. The rest is honestly just a distraction. And again, your brand story is that foundation. It's that compass. Madison Reed gets that. They are crystal clear on who they serve and what they value, right? Because when we lose sight of that compass, that our brand story, that foundation, that fundamental, then things start to shift, right? Our content, our pricing. We see somebody talk about pricing on TikTok, and then we're like, effective immediately, my prices are going up. And it's like, wait, whoa. That's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. So, I mean, yeah, if you have a very large root retouch all over color business and you start to see clients leave you, whether they're going to Madison Reed or doing color at home, that's not a panic moment. That's an opportunity moment. What is happening? And that's when we look at our experience. Is it aligned with our pricing? Is it aligned with our brand? Have the prices gone up and the experience gone down? Or are you undervaluing the experience? There's so many questions to ask. And so many different reasons clients leave. I know it's easy to assume, like, oh, Madison Reed stole my client. Well, not necessarily. They may have lost their job. They may be going through medical challenges and have all these bills. They may just need to shift their budget for a while. They may have moved out of the country. And this is why building trust is so important, because when our clients and customers feel safe and we ask questions, we may actually learn what's happening. And then we'll have an opportunity to possibly create a different solution. If you're a client of mine, you know this. We have these conversations often. Budgets do change. And I'm not saying discount your services, because I don't recommend anyone discount their services unless they're a discount brand. There's ways to add value without discounting your services. However, if there's a client that is a Vivid client and it's a high maintenance, right? High maintenance, Vivids are high maintenance if you want to keep them fresh, right? And their budget has changed in the moment and they're, nervous and whatever, they still want to come to the salon, then maybe there is a different solution for them without losing them as a client. And this is why reaching out to clients that are outside the regular maintenance schedule is so important. It shows you care. It prevents you from making up stories, and it keeps the connection, even when the client isn't coming in on their regular maintenance schedule. Anyways, it is always going to come back to differentiation. Madison Reed is filling a need. They saw a gap. The gap is real. You also fill a need because it's not about the color. Because anyone can get color literally anywhere. So it's not about the color. And when you're clear on who you serve and what they value, then whether it's OPI's at home gel kit or Madison Reed color bars, it doesn't matter. You stay focused on you and who you serve. Because Madison Reed didn't invent a new service. I mean, they're doing root retouches and all over color. It's the basics. They're just doing it with such clarity and consistency and alignment. And that's how we build trust. That's how we grow and build market share, no matter where you sit in the business world. No matter where you sit in the business world, consistency builds trust. Trust builds relationships. Relationships can build referrals. And if you deliver an aligned, consistent experience, those referrals ultimately build revenue. Wow. I could go on and on. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you what your thoughts are on this episode and any of the episodes. I am enjoying your DMs and your texts and all your messages. Your feedback, as I share in every episode, is so helpful to me. So helpful to me to continue to create value through these episodes and and help you. That's why I'm here to help you, to serve you, to empower you to make more aligned decisions for your brand. Different brands, different audiences, different promises, different price points, different market positions. It's okay to be inspired by content on the internet. Where I'm struggling is how it can because it's so out of context, how it has become such a distraction. Stay focused. Stay focused. Thank you so much for listening. And like I said, thank you for your messages. If you feel inspired to drop a rating or review, that helps this podcast become more discoverable to more people that it can help. And that is fucking awesome. I hope you have a peaceful day wherever you are. And remember to be where your feet are and stay kind, stay compassionate, seek context, and remember that you are loved. Have a peaceful day. Bye.